Hey, it's Bon Diesel, and I am here to give this first video thing a go. I threw something up on Twitter, and people, for whatever reason, wanted to hear me ramble a bit, so that's what you're gonna get. So the first thing I was going to talk about was going to be kind of the current state of the game as it applies to me and kind of where I stand with the division. I was going to talk a little bit about Destiny and the division and how they can interact, and then the future of the game of the division, long term and kind of immediately. So for the current state for me, I was in a situation where around 1.3 I bought a house, planned an entire wedding, executed that wedding, and then had a few weeks off in December into early January. And during that time, I basically quit playing the division. I played since the beta. I really enjoyed it. I liked it a lot, even through the trials and tribulations. But with the buying a house and moving in and fixing it up and doing everything we did for the wedding, and I really kind of needed that break. And if anyone remembers, that was the time of the shotgun meta and things like that. It wasn't exactly fun, at least not for everybody. So when I was taking that break towards the end of it on Amazon, I remember it popped up, and the New York Collapse book pops up and it's on sale, and I remember hearing about it, and I even remember seeing some lore posts on like Reddit and things talking about how everything connects and how it explains some of the story before what we are actually playing in the game. And so I said, I'll give this a shot. I really like the game. I'd like to know some more about what happened. And by the time I finished the book, which if you haven't read it, I highly suggest checking it out, I fell back in love with the game. So since early January, I've been back, and I've been back even harder than I was when the game came out, I think. So I wanted to make videos because I wanted to bring the perspective of someone who kind of was reinvigorated to really, really like the game. Even though it's gotten a little tired and is a little long in the tooth in a lot of ways, because of the content that we've been playing over and over. And as someone who doesn't really have any interest in a game like Destiny and a few other games that have come out, and they are the Division killers and so on. So the one thing that kind of inspired me to do, especially recently, is if you are on my Twitter, you've been inundated with post about hashtag division shots, and that's been a project I've really, really enjoyed doing, and really has gotten me even more excited about the game, and the lore from the New York Collapse book, and I've even recently purchased the art book to kind of see some more of that stuff, and even just finding some of these stories out in the world, and even just the graffiti, some of it's so cool. I've really enjoyed that, and that's really given me something to do in the game that I wouldn't be doing otherwise, and maybe I'd be getting a little more bored with the game. I still enjoy running missions, getting weeklies, trying to get that perfect ninja bike bag, or that perfect M4 or whatever. So when I talk about the current state of the game with me and everyone, though, I can't ignore the current situation we're in with the glitches. So I'm in a field where I deal with similar issues as the devs, where we put out these things to our clientele, and we may work for months on it, and then we find out there's this awful problem, and no matter what, we will not be able to fix it tomorrow or yesterday, or when the person wants it done, or our clients want it finished. And so I've been in their shoes, and I can understand where they're going, and I feel like that makes me extremely patient with them. It probably also has something to do with the fact that I'm a huge fanboy for this game. But the thing I also know is that when we have those issues and we tell our clients that, look, we can't fix it today, it's not going to happen, whether I am understanding of that or not, they don't care. So the people who are really upset about these glitches and are leaving, especially with Destiny 2 coming out, which I'll talk about, it doesn't matter if people's outrage is reasonable or not, because at the end of the day, if they leave, whether it's a reasonable exit or not, they're still gone. So I understand where the devs are. I understand how hard this stuff is, and that sometimes you just don't have answers for people, or you don't have solutions, or the solutions that you do have are just going to take a minute. at the same time, I also understand where the people are who are just sick of it. It's one too many glitches. It's it's the last straw, whatever. I really think that comes down to you know communication and figuring things out publicly as much as they possibly can be. On to the next point that I was going to talk about was Destiny 2. I think there's a weird feeling where obviously there's a lot of frustration with the division and things like that, and a lot of people were excited to just play anything else. And the Destiny 2 comes out, and it's a savior for a lot of people. And there's a lot of people who really like Destiny 1 before they even played the division. And so I think there's two groups of people right now. One where people like both games and they're going to play both, and I feel like that group is pretty satisfied right now. They're killing it in Destiny 2, preparing for that raid tomorrow. They're getting their light level up, and they're having a good time. And then there's the other group of people who are really big fanboys for one game or the other, and there's kind of a division in that right now. And I definitely fall into that. I'm definitely the division fanboy. I still think I'm pretty reasonable when it comes to Destiny and even the Division's problems. I don't have a problem with Destiny. It doesn't interest me. I wasn't a Halo guy. I'm not really into the spaceman magic spells, thing. But I also understand that that's me, and that they're really, it's a great game, and people love the mechanics of it and the diversity of it. And while it's very similar to the Division in a lot of ways, it's also very different. For me personally, it's an aesthetic thing. I prefer a gritty, realistic aesthetic where I just can't get into games that don't have that. While I obviously understand the Division isn't realistic in the sense of shooting someone in the head 100 times and magic rolly balls that blow everyone up, I still appreciate the realistic aesthetic that it presents, and the guns and the environment and all those things. So I really think that the communities can exist together, and if anything, with the way that Destiny 2 is releasing things to do and the things that are coming for the Division, it can be a nice bounce back and forth for people that can keep both games fresh, especially Destiny 2, but also the Division as more content comes out. So I really think they scratch different itches for people who like both games, and I really, really hope that people kind of agree there that there's room for both, and there really doesn't have to be one or the other for anyone who hasn't completely given up on the Division and so on. So the last thing I was going to talk about is the future of the Division. I really think that there's some kind of weird feelings right now where 1.8 is coming out and we don't know what's coming after that, if anything. My personal opinion is that there's been a lot of kind of hints and smiles and winks and stuff during streams and so on, that it really seems like there's going to be another ETF, which would lead me to believe there's going to be another, maybe a 1.9 patch, maybe even a 2.0, or who knows, even beyond. I really hope that's a thing, because I really think there's more going on here. Now, what I also think is that in about a year, a little less, that the next E3 we're going to get an announcement for the Division 2. And it's going to be announced for 2019, and that's where we're headed. I could be completely wrong. I have no actual information there. It's just there seems like that's a reasonable timeline, and I've heard kind of whispers around the community that that's kind of what people are thinking. Honestly, I don't really care, because I think the Division 2 is coming no matter what. But when and where and so on, we'll see. For the more immediate future, we've got a PTS for 1.8, we've got the global event Assault coming, and 1.8 itself. Now the PTS, that I suspect that's going to be real soon, maybe even this week, but maybe not till next week or the week after. The thing with the Assault global event is that they're saying that the glitch is going to be fixed before that, and that that fix isn't even out for the PC yet, which it's going to come before the console. So the GE, I'd say probably by the end of the month, but we're not really positive. If this global event's going to be really big, because the gear that's coming in it, I think, is going to be almost not essential, but it's going to be really nice for the content that we have coming, and with skirmish and resistance, especially resistance, and even in skirmish with PvP and Rogue 2.0 in the Dark Zone because they're bumping up stamina. They wouldn't be bumping up stamina if we weren't all about to be doing a whole bunch more damage, because the time to kill, if anything, needs to be lower. So raising stamina, I really hope that's a decision that's being made because of how much more damage people are going to be doing with Class C gear and with perfect god rolls that we're going to be able to earn with Division Tech and this new infusion type system. So that's basically the gist of what I had to talk about and kind of what I wanted to get out. I'm more than open to constructive criticism. Constructive is the key word there. This isn't going to be perfect. There's probably going to be noises. I probably said 100 times, and I'm going to get better at that with scripting and things like that. So I'm open to suggestions on improvements or just things to talk about in general. And I don't have a fancy outro right now, so for now I'm going to say this is Bond Diesel, and I can't wait to talk to you again.